Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about AP exams, specifically the AP Computer Science A exam, and how you can do well on the free response questions. With my 4-step process, you'll be completing the AP free response questions in no time. Step 1 is to read the prompt in question. Step 2, understand the auxiliary functions and variables. Step 3, develop a rough idea. And Step 4, implement your idea in code. We'll be going over these steps with an example problem today. One of the best things you can do to start off correctly is by reading the question properly. Reading the question is incredibly important, and making sure you grasp all the stuff while not missing anything is really important as well. I can't tell you how many times someone has missed a part of the question or not read it properly and therefore gotten the question wrong. It's happened to me too. So make sure you read the question properly and get all the information you need. One of the biggest things that people often do is spend too much time looking at these auxiliary functions. Yes, they are important, but you do not need to know how they're implemented and how they're coded in the actual code themselves. What you do need to know is what the auxiliary function takes in and what it outputs. And that's all you will need to know to be able to utilize them in the functions that you're actually writing. Don't spend too much time reading through this, but just make sure that you have all the functions and variables you need in mind. Alright, so let's start with my idea for part A here. My idea was to just use a loop and iterate through all the years that were given and just use the auxiliary function to just check whether each year was a leap year or not. And then we can keep track of how many leap years there are in a counter variable and then return that variable at the end. As you can see, that's what I did. I used the Java for loops to just iterate through each year in the given parameters and just check using that auxiliary function is leap year, whether that year was a leap year or not. And then I kept track of that number in a counter variable, and then I just returned at the end. Simple and easy. So my rough idea going into part B was to store the first day of the year and the number of days in using these auxiliary functions and then variables that I would create. And then I would do some math and use the modulus function, dividing it by 7, to get the final result and then return that. As you can see, that's exactly what I did. I used those auxiliary functions provided by the prompt to store variables for the first day of the year and the number of days. And then I used those variables with some math. I added the first day of the year, the integer, and the number of days, also an integer, subtracted 1, and then did the modulus function by 7. So this is just math that I figured out in my head. And then once I did that math, that was just the result, and you can just take that result and return that. So you can't actually compile on the real AP test, but I did compile here just to show you guys that I did the problem correctly. As you can see, the answer output does match, so my code was correct, which is nice, but just keep in mind that you will not be able to check and make sure that your code is correct on the day of the AP test. So with that in mind, let's transition into our key takeaways for today's video. Number 1, make sure to read the question carefully, gathering all the information you need without spending too much time. Number 2, glance over the auxiliary functions and identify the ones you'll need for writing your own functions, but don't spend too much time obsessing over them or how they're implemented. Number 3, go in with a rough idea of what you want to do in the code. Don't just start tapping away because it's easy to get lost and get off track. And number 4, make sure to implement the idea in the code accurately. It should require some knowledge of Java, and you can improve this by practicing a lot beforehand, either through practice books like Barron's or through practice problems your teacher has provided you. So thank you for watching today's video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.